Hi guys, and welcome back. It's your girl Yummy.com, and I'm back with another things that I like, things that I recommend, and just my general opinion on something that again is deeply rooted in my soul and my childhood. And by childhood I mean up until last year, because I was definitely still a child, and that is the Vampire Diaries Originals and Legacy trilogy of shows. Kind of CW's jumping off point for making multiple of shows out of one show. Their cash cow, how they get their moolah right. Like, I'm all about the moolah. Earrings like a hula. Jesse from the block. Don't believe the rumors. I treat you like my junior. The opas call me Nuna. They staring at my tatas. No worries, Hakuna type money. Like, this was like kind of their first experimenting into the whole multiverse, like having multiple shows grounded in the same universe type feel. Everybody thinks that it's Arrow, but really it was Vampire Diaries, because from Vampire Diaries came Originals, from Originals came Legacies, and they all are CW property. And I'm going to talk to you guys today about my favorite, and I'm going to go one by one, what I liked about the series, what I don't like about the series, what I think could be done better, what I don't think could be done better, what broke my heart, what made my heart sing. And we'll start off with Vampire Diaries. Now, Vampire Diaries, for those of you who don't know why you're on this video, because I'm not really giving a review, just talking about what I like about it, is a story of vampires. I know, shocking by the name. It was based off of a book, and it's about this girl named Elena who like has two hunky hot vampire brothers that are vying for her attention, but she's also like the center of the universe always, but also somehow not in all of the seasons. It's kind of a crazy story that is 8 seasons long. It would take me way longer than the length of this video and the length that my camera can handle to explain. Just the basics are, Bonnie's a bad bitch. Damon should be with Bonnie. I don't know why he wasn't, but was with Elena.
I remembered, you're my best friend. And that if anything ever happened to you, I would lose my mind. So yes, Bonnie, I do know how long 3 seconds are.
Just checking.
Bonnie.
One and only.
Stefan's kind of a pussy, and Caroline and Klaus belong together, and Elena's irrelevant. Those are kind of your hit or misses. It's like Catherine, Elena type things. I caught you up all in the span of 42 seconds probably. What I loved about Vampire Diaries, if you've seen it, you know that it's the beginning. You can't hate where it came from. It's like watching Harry Potter and hating Sorcerer's Stone. I mean, some people do, but like I also question the morality of those people. And you know, I genuinely think that it was a good show until a certain point. I think the second that they started backtracking on all of their rules that they set in stone, it started to turn. Like the first time they did it, it was like with Klaus, and it was like, oh, he's the hybrid, but then they gave an elaborate backstory and a whole other show to explain it. But then like they started backtracking on you being able to be a witch and a vampire at the same time, and that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And you know, Stefan just really should have been with Elena, but he married Caroline, and I was like, okay, I guess we're gonna do that. I mean, I guess Caroline deserves love since you guys won't bring Klaus back or send her to the Originals, whatever. And that's just how we ended up with it. I mean, I guess Klaus did deserve Klaus. I guess Stefan did deserve love, and I'm glad he found it before he bit the dust. But I am glad that he bit the dust. Unpopular opinion, I'm glad Stefan died. I also think Elena should have stayed dead. Let's be real here, we're all tired of her coming back to life in various ways. Now, someone who we weren't tired of coming back to life in various ways was Bonnie. She was underrated. She was the unsung hero every time, and they mentioned it. Like, the thing about Vampire Diaries that frustrated me was, like, they would mention it, like, when Bonnie died, they were like, oh no, we always go to Bonnie for solutions, and we can't go to Bonnie for solutions now. Like, what do we do? Like, oh my god, it's crazy. Like, whoa! Yeah, and then they just went back to underappreciating her when she came back to life. Like, they were like, Bonnie, what? Bonnie, do this. Bonnie, do that. They would just, like, mistreat her constantly. She died. They were like, oh, we should never mistreat her. She came back. They just went back to mistreating her. It's wild. And the same thing goes for Caroline. I think Caroline was a really underrated character. Like, no one expected her to be the character that she was. And I'm so glad. Turning her into a vampire was the best thing to happen to Caroline because it gave her so much more depth and so much more understanding as a character. And I appreciate it. You guys know here, I love depth. Digging deep, and I appreciate it. And Damon and Elena and Klaus and all the characters, they were all good written characters except for Jeremy and Matt, who were completely useless in my eyes. I don't care what you say, they were useless. Any attempt to make them useful just made me realize how useless they were in the first place. So I don't know. And they were trying to set Bonnie and Jeremy up. I was like, Bonnie deserves better than this. They tried to give Bonnie to her brother. I was like, Bonnie deserves better than this. Give her a main character. Give her Damon. They had a vibe. They had a feel. They were best friends. Damon wouldn't kill her to save Elena. And I was like, that's character growth. That's what we appreciate here. All in all, it was a good show that went way off the rails because it had way too many seasons. Much like a lot of CW's properties. Cough, cough, Riverdale. You know, like a lot of their shows have too many seasons, and then the writers are just scrambling to throw things in and give you twists and turns. Cough, cough, Grey's Anatomy. Not a CW show, but still doing the same thing. But we're gonna move on to our next show, which is The Originals. The Originals is based off of Vampire Diaries. It is the story of the original family that appeared in season 3 of Vampire Diaries and gave them way more depth. This is by far one of my biggest applauds to the CW, to Julie, to everybody. Like, that deserved a spin-off. We got so much more depth from all of those interesting and dynamic characters. We got to see characters that we didn't spend enough time with, like Cole, come back in different variation ways.
I'm not gonna kill you, you idiot. Despite your behavior, you're still my brother.
Just the one you dagger repeatedly.
I've daggered all of you, each for your own good. If you don't agree with my motives, fine. I never claimed to be the bastion of temperance, but stop this drivel about being singled out and unloved. You are a Michelson. You're my blood. And I need you. I need you by my side.
I wish we had a little more time with Finn, because by the time they actually made me give a damn about him at all, he was dead, and I was upset. And I was like, okay, this is a real heartbreak. Hopefully he comes back, because no one's ever really dead in Vampire Diaries.
Get your bloody girlfriend back here to undo what she's done. Finn, you will drink from the source until Freya can move you.
No. Don't leave me. Brother.
Finn.
Hey, brother, we're here. We are here.
I'm here, brother. Breathe. You are not alone. I am here. I am here. I am with you. Okay? I'm with you.
But sadly, really dead. So, sucks to suck. But the reason why it had a whole spin-off was because Klaus, on a romp de la tour, and gave his seed. I don't want to say that. That's gross. No, cut that out. Editor Yemi, cut that out. That's gross. He had sex with Haley, and they had a baby. and that baby was adorable, and we'll get to her later, little Hope Michelson. But the show was really good. One of my favorites, actually my favorite out of the three. It had depth, and yes, it backpedaled a little bit on some of the things that I liked. But Yummy, you said you hated Vampire Diaries for backpedaling. They did it in a very classy way. They didn't backpedal and like just change the whole game by bringing something that never existed. They backpedaled, but they were like, hey, it's just information we didn't know about. So, and they never backpedaled to the point where it was like absolutely ridiculous that you were like, this is impossible, I don't understand. In a world of vampires, this is where I stopped suspending my disbelief. Like, and the thing about it is that I didn't mention is that Klaus is a hybrid. He's a werewolf and a vampire because his mama got it on with a werewolf back in the day. And these are the first original vampires, so they have sire lines. So if you kill one of the big ones, then their entire line dies. And like, I would love to see another CW spinoff. Here's the more money I'm throwing at you. Of the lines that actually died and got cut off. Like, that would be dope, and you know, to hear about them. But we don't have enough backstory for those people for that to succeed, so forget about it. I'm taking my money back. Anyways, it was the best series. It ended in tragedy. Klaus died. I know, spoiler alert, sorry, I always say it late, but Klaus died. And that's where I got pissed. Like, I'm not expecting happily ever afters in any form. Like, don't get me wrong, Vampire Diaries for the most part had a happily ever after, other than Stefan dying. Everybody else just lived happily and fine. Like, even Elena came back to life out of her stupid coffin. But you know, Klaus died and Elijah died unnecessarily. It could have been avoided, it could have been fixed. But he says something in this last season where he's talking to Caroline and she's like, I'm sure there's a way you guys can get around it. Like, I'm sure there's a way you don't have to die. And he's like, yes, probably buried somewhere hidden in some secret city. There is a way, but that way is not today. And today is all I have. And it's literally one of the most heart-wrenching scenes because it's like, this is what makes me love originals way more than Vampire Diaries. Like, yes, they have this whole suspension of disbelief. Yes, they have, like, quick ways to get this done and this and, like, oh, this person erected from this and, oh, all these things. But at the end of the day, it was grounded in they set a reality and they stayed grounded in that. And that's what I really appreciated. And it hurt my heart to see Klaus go. I love that we got those final moments with him and Caroline because, let's be real, Caroline and Klaus are my number 2 overall ship of the world. I'm sure I'm leaving number 1 blank because I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but if I can't, then they're number 1. But I love Caroline and Klaus. They're like, oh, maybe like Ray and Ben Solo, I don't know. Anyways, I love Caroline so much, and we got those last moments, and we also got to see Klaus develop into this dynamic character and become an actual father who cares, and this family become an actual family. Because when you see them in Vampire Diaries, they're just this dysfunctional group of people who happen to be related by blood, but in originals, they're family, and you really get the meaning of always and forever.
This has been the best day ever, and you know what? You guys got 1,000 years of moments like this one, and being a part of this one really made me feel like I'm part of Always and Forever too. So, cheers. Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.
And I truly appreciate it, and I'm really glad that I got to see it. Now on to the last one of this trilogy is Legacies. Now, Legacies, while fun and fresh, and I love the actors, all the actors are really good in it. I love Lizzie, I love Josie, I love Penelope, I love Hope, I love MG, like, I love them all. Don't get me wrong, I love them all. They're really good characters, they're really well written. I expect nothing less from Julie Plec, but it's like, I didn't watch it at first. I watched, like, once it got to, I think maybe like episode 10 of season 1, then I was like, maybe I'll like start watching Legacies. I'm out of things to watch. I boycotted Legacies because of the way that Klaus died in originals. So like, obviously a lot of people didn't switch over to Legacies because they were upset at the way Klaus died in originals. And like, when I saw that they started mentioning Klaus, and like I was like, okay, maybe I'll like peek in. Maybe I'll just like do a little look-see. And I did, and like he wasn't mentioned nearly enough, but it was a good show. It is a good show. It's still on. It's not as good as the beginning season of Vampire Diaries or any of the originals, but it is fun and fresh, and you do get to see Alaric, and sometimes the occasional character pops in, but like not enough to make a difference, like, and not a character you care to see. Like, I don't want to see Jeremy. Like, show me Bonnie. Can you guys afford Bonnie? Show me Bonnie. Where's Caroline? You guys always talk about her. Where is she? Why isn't she with her children? Not that I'm shaming her as a mother, but it just doesn't make sense to me the way that it is written, shown out. But again, I would still rewatch Legacy season 1 and 2 over the last couple of seasons of Vampire Diaries any day. So I guess it's a win in that book, in that regards. Overall, what I'm trying to tell you is that originals is the best. I only recommend you watch Vampire Diaries up until the originals leave, and then you can probably just stop watching and Google what happens. Watch all of the originals except for the last episode because it's sad when Klaus goes, and then, you know, pop in on Legacies every now and again just in case. Like, it's a good show to pop in on. Season 1 is good to like pop in on. You can pop in on episodes and catch up fairly quickly on what's going on. But like season 2 is a little more in depth, so you might like need a fresher or a filler or like actually pay attention. But the originals is the undisputed winner. Woohoo! The originals! That is my kind of review, recommendation-ish highlight video of Vampire Diaries. I definitely recommend you check it out. It's a good series on Vampire Diaries originals and Legacies. I definitely recommend you watch originals. I don't necessarily think you need to watch originals. You need to watch Vampire Diaries to watch originals, but it does definitely help in a lot of the things. Sometimes you will be confused, and sometimes there are crossovers, so like you might have to pop in on a Vampire Diaries episode just to understand everything that's going on. Also, they're in the South. They're in Virginia. And as someone who is legally south of the Mason-Dixon line, I find a lot of their traditions hella cute. Like the Miss Mystic Falls pageant and just like the little bit of Southern twang they add to things. And then originals, that's the one thing I love about originals. They really integrate their like surroundings instead of just making up this made up place and like doing whatever they want like Vampire Diaries or Legacies does. They really integrate New Orleans into their show so that the culture and all of it kind of blends together, and I love it. As someone who really wants to go to New Orleans, loves Cloak and Dagger, like just really wants to see it, like it's beautiful. But beyond the point, go check it out. I think all 3 are on Netflix, so you should have a ball digging into this messy, bloody, wolfbane-y, Allegheny soup. I'm Yummy.com. Don't worry, I will be back, so stay tuned.